I think what annoys me about music is that none of us in this room and everybody listening can't tell me what a song costs.
Today, we have a guest who needs no introduction. You might know him as the powerhouse frontman of multi-award-winning band Mi Casa, whose soulful voice and electrifying performances have captivated audiences across the globe.
I always say that my favorite and most important relationship is with the man in the mirror.
Jay Something is so much more than a musician, producer, and chef.
To be honest with you, I don't really like money. I know I need to have it.
We're pulling back the curtain to reveal the entrepreneur behind the artist.
Every human has two lives. And the second one starts when you realize you only have one.
From his innovative restaurants that are setting new trends in the culinary world, to his incredible business ventures and creative partnerships that have impacted millions, Jay Something is a force to be reckoned with within the business world. And here's the kicker. This is a story that's never been told before.
I think creativity is birthed from authenticity.
We're about to explore the side of him that's all about creating, innovating, and inspiring. Beyond the music and beyond the kitchen.
No one. There's not one other human that is me.
As we uncover the entrepreneurial spirit of the all-round super dope human, Jay Something.
The other thing I've learned from music that has transcended into my business life is...
Hey, thanks so much for being with us today and gracing us with your presence on the podcast. It's a real honor to have you here.
Thank you for having me, man. Thank you for all the kind words on the video as well.
So I think that's where we need to kick off. Is we say in the video, we're pulling back the curtain to unveil the real Jay Something. Do people know the real Jay Something?
I mean, the answer would be no. They know parts of me. I don't think anybody knows all of me other than me. But we allow other people in. We open up little bits of the curtain when we feel, I guess, vulnerable enough and confident enough to show people certain aspects of our life. I mean, but yeah, I'm not a guy who hides a lot. So I think what people know, and it's such a general statement, is what is what I have put out there, and what I've put out there isn't very far off from who I am. I mean, I don't change. I don't think I change a lot when I'm at home or when I'm out the house. I feel pretty much the same person, backstage or in front of stage. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know how much people know about me. That would be better suited for you and for everybody else that's watching to, I don't know. But what is interesting is when you do hear how people talk about you, that it's, I feel very honored and I feel very loved and I feel very grateful for how people speak about me and how you spoke about me in the intro of the video. So I feel really blessed for other people's perceptions of me.
You're in a really good place right now. You and I were speaking off camera and you said, man, I'm just happy at the moment, and that's a beautiful thing. That's a great thing. I said to you that's something we all strive for, and talk us through where you are right now, what's going on with Jay Something. Just give us the elevator pitch.
One day at a time. It has completely changed my life as a phrase, as a statement, as an understanding, as a lesson, as a couple of words put together. I think we've all heard them before. Happiness definitely isn't the currency of life. I think that it's a part of it. I think that hardship is just as important, if not more important. I think it's through what we go through that is really important. And I think living my life one day at a time has really helped me to slow down my life dramatically, which has been incredible. I mean, we now, at the present moment of recording this, we are on the last quarter of the year, and normally everybody's just like, oh my God, can't believe the year's coming to an end. And I'm like, no, actually, I can. Like, it's, I've lived one day at a time, and I've stacked up the days, and I've been quite aware and quite present. And so yeah, from an elevator pitch perspective, would be, I think I found a lot of joy in looking and paying attention to my day. And the fact that I get to wake up I'm already just like, wow, look at that sunrise. Look at that sunrise. You know, like it's a thing for me. My relationship with the sun is just one of the things that I've really enjoyed building. You know, that cup of coffee. It's not. You know, you start to count and stack up your blessings, which are evident if you open your eyes, and then you all of a sudden, by the time you reach the end of a day, you're like, oh my God, what a day. What happened? Well, no, I just had a coffee. I went for a run. I chatted to Shay. I got on a flight. I went back home, got to see my family, had dinner with them, you know. And then you get to sleep in a comfy bed with a roof over your head and you have a warm shower and you're just like, come on, man. Life doesn't get much better than this, you know. So it's the simple, ordinary things. And I use inverted commas in that because those are the magical things. And I think I'm just placing a little bit more attention on those things, which is then producing a lot more joy. I think that's been, for me, definitely one of the most impactful chapters of my life, is just exploring this idea of how to live one day at a time with intense intentionality.
With what you spoke to me about in terms of the happiness that you're experiencing at the moment, you know, it has to come with what might have happened before that, which is maybe you not being in that great space. Talk to me about that. Like, what were you going through before, and how did that kind of lead into where you are now?
Man, you know, life is has it all. You know, I think that we are so obsessed with comparisons and black and white, good or bad, right or wrong. You know. And I think that it's our limitation, it's our human limitation that causes us to think that way, to think that when it's, oh, my life is so bad, you know, or this is good and that is bad. And I think that I've opened up my eyes a little bit more and has kind of broadened my scope of what I take in, which has allowed me to understand that the hard is the good, and that the good sometimes leads to the hard, and it's just like one big beautiful journey that I'm on. So what happened before it, you know, it's never changed. I think that what's happened through it is that I think the hardship has produced the awareness, and I think that the awareness then produces the joy. So yeah, I mean, we could pinpoint certain things. I mean, I've been in a band for 13, 14 years. It's been everything. It's been, you know, last night I had a show, and every time I sing These Streets, which was the first song I ever wrote, I'm just like, wow, like 13 years later, here we are singing the song with people, feeling as if it's a brand new single that we just released, you know. And then you're in a band, and which is a relationship. You were 3 other guys or 2 other guys, and you're trying to, you know, it's a business, it's a relationship, it's a friendship, it's a brotherhood, call it what you want. Again, it's also perspective. And so there's been a lot of hard with that, you know. I think that the hardest thing I've ever done in my life is to love my wife, love my family, love my friends, love my band, because you love it. So you really want to protect it, and you really hope and treasure it. And that has caused a lot of hardship along the way, across my life. Yeah. If we were to zoom in into any aspect of my life, I could pinpoint 1,000 hard things or challenges that have then produced the awareness that then have made me happier. You know, it's only, what do they say? They say that a sick man only wants one thing and a healthy man wants a million things, you know? It's only when you are sick that you realized, oh man, if I could just walk again, that would be amazing. And then you walk again, and then you forget. Then you're just like, oh yeah, and then you move on to the next thing. I want to rather have that mentality of just like, my heart is still beating, lungs in my, breath in my lungs. What a vibe, man. And then everything else over and above that just feels like I live in a gold mine. You know, it's like amazing.
So it sounds like you've kind of switched it up. So you've had that mindset initially to go like, well, what if I was in that position where, you know, I didn't have this? And that results in the gratitude.
Keep death close by. Keep death close by, and you will realize how precious it is to live. As soon as you realize that I can die anytime, man, you realize that, wow, more importantly, I'm alive right now. And that produces this zest for living. You know, it's So yeah, I do tend to think that sometimes I have dark thoughts, and then I realize that those dark thoughts are probably just trying to teach me something. That there's a lighter side. If there's a darker side, there's a lighter side. If there's a good, there's a bad. If there's a right, there's a wrong, type of thing. So it's just broadening the scope, being an eagle, man, and just looking at life from the top, and then zooming in when you need to.
What was the name of that the production that you did a few years back? It was you did it here in Cape Town. It was a compilation of the songs that you recorded during COVID.
Oh, it was called Indoor.
Indoor.
Yeah.
Now that was for me the first proper insight into the level of creativity
I was very vulnerable.
You have, and you were very vulnerable to the entire audience that was there, and that was so palpable. And for me, that was incredible to see. I mean, you opened up just like you're opening up now on stage, and you revealed so much there. And I wanted to know, what does it take to do that? I mean, how do you get to that point to be able to do that?
A lot of vulnerability. I think that, one thing is being able to have a friend that you can call and say, "Hey, dude, I'm really struggling with this," and that is a beautiful thing to have. And then it's a completely different experience to be on stage in front of hundreds or thousands of people and let them know that, hey, I recorded the song when I was in ICU with somebody that I would die for. And then you hope that it's received well, because humans, we are weird people. So a lot of vulnerability, I would say. It also is, I think what it takes is also a lot of, it's, when you build a good relationship with yourself. I always say that my favorite and most important relationship is with the man in the mirror. Even with my wife, I always tell her, I'm like, I want you to know that when I go to bed, I do one thing. I look in the mirror and I ask myself whether I'm proud of myself. Nobody's watching. Nobody, you can always lie to anybody else. You can't lie to yourself. So I think that developing the relationship with myself, almost standing a little bit firmer in who I am and who I think I am, and, standing firmer in the fact that this is not a comparative thing. Life is not a comparative thing. Life is an individual journey. I'm here for my experience. You are here for yours. Please let it be that way, because we're so easy to watch everybody else and think, oh, that's the way. So I think that what helps to share is to be like, hey guys, I'm not trying to change your life. I'm actually just sharing mine. Yeah. And if it at any point has some impact on yours and sharpens you just a little bit, what a vibe. And I think that that's what I've tried to do, is that, operate from a sense of purpose in what I do, because otherwise it's just a stroke of the ego and not really what I don't really get a big drive from stroking I mean, we all do to some extent, but I've tried to keep my ego way down the line of list of values or importance. So what it takes is, I think for me, is vulnerability and then a sense of security in oneself.
You also, one of the interesting things when I saw that, and it's hard to describe in a conversation just how open you are in that kind of situation. And one of the other things I noticed about you at that point was you, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but all the kind of commercial stuff around that kind of bugs you. It annoys you, but it's you don't really, that's not the stuff you want to get involved in, really. I mean, you're obviously really appreciative of your sponsors and the guys that help you make this happen. But that stuff is I don't want to pick up the phone. I don't want to talk to these guys to try and make this happen. I just want it to flow and happen.
Yeah. It's hard, but it's life has got a currency, and it is, a lot of things are about money, and it's an important principle of life, and I think it's only a foolish person that downplays that. But yeah, definitely in terms of my list of things that I value way more just being able to express and be creative and have no boundaries and feel limitless. And so yeah, I try and keep myself in that space, and I try and surround myself with people that then can hopefully get me the results that I need from a commercials perspective, so that I can do what I want to do. It's a normal thing, but it's not a lacquer thing to feel limited.
Yeah.
But yeah, I tend to try and focus my energy more on the creative space and not on the stuff that drains my energy, or stuff that I just don't like. I'm to be honest with you, I don't really like money. I know I need to have it, and I don't like when anybody tells me that I don't have it. Then I get really frustrated. But I don't spend my days thinking, I wonder if this is going to make me money.
Yeah.
I always just hope that it makes me happy.
Have you ever started a business for the money?
From the get-go, no. I've never started a business to this has got to make me money. My music career didn't start that way. I can't even believe I call it, but like my food career didn't start that way. Even my restaurant in Sandton is like didn't start that way. It's still not that way. Like it's still not. I this year, for the first time in my career, I applied. So one day at a time is something that I've been working on for 7 years as a principle, and as a school of thought, and as something that I'd love to leave for my kids one day in the form of, you'll find it in many things that I do and that I create. But what that's done is this year I started, my word for the year was health. And I choose a word every year. I think a lot of people do this, but I choose a word for the year, and then I pursue it as like a mini project on the side to everything else that I'm doing. Health was an interesting one. So I started at the obvious places, nutrition and kind of fitness, and that's been going really well. And it's gotten to a place where about 2 months ago, it got to a place where I was like, okay, cool, I got this. I don't need to like force myself to go to the gym or go for a run. It's just like, if I don't, I get irritated. So now it's there. And then I chose, okay, cool, what should I do next? And then I applied it to my finance, the idea of being aware one day at a time of my financial well-being, which is still health. And that's produced phenomenal results in the last 2 months. It's been incredible to be able to be aware. And I think why I'm saying this is that what I wanted to say is that I never know what I make, what I have, what I burn. Like I didn't know. And for the last 2 months of my life, I've started to become more aware of, hey, why am I spending that much on that? And do I need that? And it's produced phenomenal results, and it's given me such every Monday I get like my report of my financial world, and I see, okay, cool, 1 week. So it's one day at a time, 1 week at a time, and so on. It's just it's a process of micromanaging my life.
So don't you think this is such an important part of like development in life? Like, we talk about life orientation in school, and everyone keeps saying like that's the stuff they should have taught you in school. It's like, I know you're talking about it from a business perspective, but even from a personal perspective,
man.
just like when I started out, even in the working world, I was like, I didn't really know how to manage my finances properly. And you look at people who spend excessively, like they get access to credit and they're just like spending money that they might not have. And like the reality is in South Africa, there's a culture of that. And it's such an important element of life and development, and I think something we all need to be cognizant of to teach people, if is how to be financially literate as well and look after yourself financially.
I think if we could just teach, the word teach, but I think if we could just all become a little bit more aware, I think that everything around us steals our attention. Everything is designed to steal our attention. And I think that one of the things that would really help us all is just a little bit more self-awareness. And I know it sounds so cheesy, so yoga, so like green juice vibe, but like it's so much more than that, man. It's so important to be able to just be more aware. And I think if you are more aware across your life, before you put that in your mouth to eat, or before you do that, or whatever it may be, or before you spend it, or before whatever if you are, and all that I've done, and all that I've been working on with this one day at a time lifestyle is, hey, just think, pause, digest and be more aware. So I agree with you. I think if we could produce more awareness from a younger age, I think it would produce great results, man, across the board. And that's what I've been exploring. It's just, with training, I used to hate training, working out, because it was always attached to like 3 months. You'll get there in 3 months, you'll get there in 6 months, and then there's a 12-week plan and whatever. I'm just like, man, leave me alone just today. Like, that's all I need to do. Tomorrow, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't even know if I'm going to be here tomorrow. So can I just deal with today? And that's really helped me. So today, what did I spend today? What did I eat today? What did I say today? How did I carry myself? All the stuff just today has been like revolutionary. I've started to write a book about it. I'm busy putting down a lot of these tools and lessons that I've learned through this, because it came about 7 years ago. And I wrote a song about this in a way, but 7 years ago, I wrote a song called Mamela, which is my favorite Mi Casa song of all songs. And I wrote that song in ICU while I was in ICU with somebody that I would die for. And I would only die for 3 people in my life. So it's somebody that means the absolute world to me. And in that moment, I'll never forget that the doctor came, gave us the lowdown of what was happening. And then he left, and I ran after him, and I said, yo, sorry, man. Like, because life happens fast. These hard moments happen like this. And I remember running after him and asking him and saying, like, yo, doc, like, is she gonna die? I just can you help me? Because this is a lot to take in. And, it's 7 years ago. I was younger than I am now. And he said to me, my boy, I'll never forget. He said, my boy, I think you should live one day at a time, because I don't know if she is going to be here tomorrow. Never mind me or you. She's there now. And I'll never forget that day, because I looked into that room and I was like, I get it. Like, she's here now. And fast forward to today, we all good. She's doing amazing and we are doing amazing, and life is good. But that whole principle, just to give context to this idea that it's not like one day at a time, bro. Like, no, it's, and that's unfortunately or fortunately, it depends on how you view it. You can either try and understand this before the heart attack, or before the crisis, or before the accident, or before the cancer, or before the whatever it may be, so that you can live. That there was another thing that stood out, that every human has 2 lives, and the second one starts when you realize you only have one.
Yeah.
Like, that for me is some real talk. Like, it's, but we have so much information out there, and we're hearing so many things. And I hope that, as we talk, that it doesn't become just another thing you hear. But just to give context to like this one day at a time idea, it came from that, man. It came from like a wake up call of like, yes, okay, I get it.
When you produce that book, finally, you have to do an audio version of that. I think you will get the true value, or the reader will, or the listener will get the true value out of the book if you speak to it like the way you're doing it now.
No, I will. So
you've got to do that.
An audio book. Thank you. You heard it here first.
So I wanted to actually ask, because you mentioned it, your fitness game. So you've gotten into it now. It's part of your life, really important part of your life. What does that routine look like, and what has it done for you?
Well, it's done so much for me. I don't know how to contextualize or give words to that, and I'm learning also in life that I'm living for the moments that I cannot explain, because words in themselves are very limited, So I will try my best, but it's something that I don't really know how to explain fully what it's done for me. On a weekly basis, I try and fit in 5 sessions a week in the gym. And then in between that, I'm trying to do 20 to 60 kilometers a week running in between when I can, it depends. And I'm training with my wife, which has been amazing. I remember that I started 1 month before her, and then I said, so you should come and try it out. And I'm training with a friend of mine. Well, he's now a friend, Jordan, who's our coach, and she came a month later, and then I was like, no, you know what, you should speak to Jordan and find your times, because I want to have my times. And then I got this thrill of just like watching her train and just seeing her invest into herself just like made me so much, deeper. You fall deeper in love with that person because you're like, wow, I love you for showing up for you, I guess is the best way that I could try and explain it. But I think that over and above that, I think that for me, when I think of the training, I think of Coco and I think of me and her, and I think of time we get together to laugh in the gym and to see somebody her pushing herself, and then she's, we kind of always tell each other like, I was checking you out there, and I'm like, no ways, I was checking you out there when you were doing that, so it's been such a cool thing for us as far as our relationship goes. So that's been amazing. I think it's also helped me to pursue the rest of my career a lot better. I feel a lot stronger on stage. I feel a lot more capable. I feel a lot more aware of what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. Touring is hard. Touring is really hard, taxing, to say the least. It's taxing. This year, I haven't fully reflected on my year yet, but I've done a lot. And I went 2 months to Europe to tour, and we did, I don't know how many shows we did, but it's trains, it's airports, it's Ubers, it's grungy, touring, because we're not there yet in terms of whatever. Our business is not there yet in Europe as we would like it to be. So it's still a lot. It's that typical rock band, like, pulling your bags and going into, trains and stuff like that. So that it's hard. And so that the training and the exercising and the awareness and the one day at a time sort of lifestyle has allowed me to be like, all right, cool. I know I'm in Paris right now, and I know that there's croissants all over the place, but like, if I'm going to do it, let me, it's helped me in that sense. So it's helped me to do the rest of my work really well. And it's just helped me to feel a lot better about myself. It's helped me to feel a lot more confident in myself. And that's been cool. I could go on and on about it because it's been really transformative.
So the interesting element of that is the performance side, and you actually touched on it, but it was the question I wanted to ask is how your training regime and your fitness has impacted your performance, both physically in terms of you being on stage, but also mentally. So how's the mental side? Has it helped, like, the creative side, the process, that kind of?
Yeah, dramatically, man. I mean, as you said it now, I also thought of something that's happened this year, which has been like, I actually can't believe it, but I started vocal training for the first time ever.
Wow.
This year.
And what spurred that on?
3 months ago. It was so strange because I've been singing for such a long time, and I didn't go to school for it. It's not something that I was trained to do. I just liked singing and liked writing songs. And so I had for the last couple of years started to feel a lot more fatigued in what I was doing. And I felt like my output was just not where it used to be. And it's so easy to, you're getting older and, those type of things. And I was just like, nah, man, it can't be. Like, it's a muscle, my vocal cords are muscles. And I have struggled. My voice is the Austin Powers thing. It's like my mojo. It's like my thing that I have my voice, and then I have I'm okay. Like, if everybody can just take everything from me, just don't take my voice, because it really makes me happy to sing. And I think that with it becoming a business, the output required is then pressurized by the need to keep on going and to keep on delivering. You got to show up to the office all the time, and you got to deliver. And it's a muscle. So, and it gets tired and it gets fatigued, and you in different cities and you're traveling and you're eating, and all this stuff impacts more than singers in the small group are aware of. And I think more than the public is aware of.
It's almost like being a professional athlete, right?
Exactly.
Like when you're playing sport for fun, it's great and everyone can see how amazing you are. And then when you start playing professionally, it's taxing on the body and taxing on the muscles, as you said. So,
and I've got an ENT doctor who's been my Dr. Lance Marin, who's an incredible ENT, and he's a phenomenal singer as well. And he's been seeing me since I started my career. And this year I went to him 3 times in the space of 8 weeks because of anxiety, because I was just like, I don't know what's going on. I sing and I'm tired and I'm sore and it feels abnormal, and then check the vocal cords, and then I think because of everything that I've been through in life, I've developed a huge sense of paranoia around health, and that's why I chose to be like, you know what, I'm going to focus on my health so that I can deal with the elephant in the room. Like you got to go after the things that scare you. You cannot be jumping in the closet when the monster's coming out. You got to go out, face the monster, and then realize that there is no monster in the room, and then you're okay, you can sleep, So it's more like that mentality. And I think that what he said to me is like, dude, you are fine. You go and you check, he puts cameras down my nose, down my mouth, and checks the whole thing. And it's always like, my anxiety goes sky high because I'm worried that they'll find like a node or something wrong, with my cords, and then everything is fine. And then I decided to get a vocal coach. And I was like, okay, let's see my technique and let's see what I'm doing that's causing this, because I'm fine. And it was an incredible thing. Like it's obviously, I don't want to bore you, but it's when you sing, I was singing from because people speak about nose breathing. I don't know if you've heard about the importance of nose breathing, and it's an incredible health benefit.
Filters.
Exactly. But as a singer, you shouldn't. Well, at least for me, I shouldn't be nose breathing when I'm singing. So hey, because then you hear, hey, you're putting pressure here. But if you fill up your diaphragm and you all of a sudden. It's so for me, it's been like this revolutionary realization 13 years of my career down the line. And I'm like, wow, I was doing this thing wrong the whole time. So it's produced phenomenal results for me, which again, it's just been a curiosity in the pursuit of my health. So that's been cool. That was the vocal training aspect and why I did it, and what the results that it's produced. It's been mad. I just did last week, I did 7 shows in a row, back-to-back days in 7 different cities and countries, and I was fine. I was at the top of my game, and I was, maximum output. I'm 100%, at least I try and be 100% all the time, because it's one day at a time, and it's the only show I've got, and it's the only moment I've got. So I try and go in. I don't dig going in at 80%. It's just something that just doesn't feel right. So
it's amazing how that awareness filters down into so many elements of your life. Like you said, you started with the idea of health, and at surface level, that's physical health and mental health, and then that filtered into, well, let me look at this and I've noticed something here. Maybe let me see if my let's visit a vocal coach and see if my vocal style is right and working for me. And you discovered that I can improve, and this is going to result in not only you feeling more comfortable on stage, but also longevity in terms of how long you can keep going.
Yeah, exactly, man. Exactly that. It's been, and I can't wait to see where it takes next. This idea of awareness of a day, and just one day at a time, and it's been incredible. So, yeah, grateful.
I'd like to take a step back and talk about the roots of your creativity. From my perspective, being a friend of yours, I feel like that's really your differentiator. That's your little. I think that's just the thing that separates you from the pack in terms of your creativity and the way you think. And I'd love to delve into where that came from. So can you talk to us about Jay's roots, like, where you came from, just from the beginning, and talk to us about the story, and think about like the moments in your life where you realize like that creative spark just was started to flow.
Before I dive in, the first thing that popped to my mind when you were speaking was just that I think creativity is birthed from authenticity. And I think that can also sound really cheesy, but I think that creativity can really be enriched by you being okay with you and you trusting in your value. And in you, like funny enough, I try and not listen to a lot of music because it influences me. And I'm trying to find the music within, not the music outside. So it's less noise is better. So like, especially from a songwriting perspective, I try and not listen to a lot of music with lyrics because it takes my attention, and and then it helps me to not hear. But I think that I grew up with a brother who's always been very creative and very expressive in what he's done. He's 10 years older than me. His name is Bruno, and I think growing up, I always saw him creating and expressing, and he's a graphic designer by profession, but he's a brand architect, and I've seen him develop and create a lot of different things for himself and for other brands. I saw my mom and my dad being creative from a hospitality perspective, and never, my dad was a guy that I remembered him always being proud of his shirt and his name tag, and he was a food and beverage manager for a lot of different hotels around the world. And my mom was expressive and proud, and has always been. And I think that maybe that mixture of my upbringing, again, it's very hard to pinpoint everything of where things stem from, but just at the foundational perspective, I had a dad who was very proud. I had a brother who was very creative, and I had a mother who was very loud and expressive and love, like just a massive outpouring of love. And I think maybe the mixture of all of that helped me in my earlier days. I also felt very free, and I felt very okay to be who I wanted to be. I was never told what to do or what to believe in, and I think that has shaped me a lot. And then go down the line. I also think that I was born in Portugal, and then I arrived in South Africa when I was 7 years old in 1995. And as a 7-year-old kid, my mom and my dad both worked 18-hour days. So I was in the staff village at the hotel room, and being exposed and connecting with people that I couldn't even speak to in language, but we would spend time, and I was thrown into the unknown. I was thrown into a small little farm school with 60-70 kids that made the whole school in the junior school, and I learned English, Afrikaans, Xhosa at the same time. I was exposed to cricket and other things, and I think it's just maybe that part of my life where I arrived and was radical change, I think is the word that I was looking for. Is just, I think that also produced a sense of openness to life and curiosity about life. So it wasn't just one language, it wasn't just one thing, it was always just a lot of things, and I think I took it all in, and I think that I've been just trying to do that since, is just take it all in and be curious, man, and be expressive and not be shy, and just let it out instead of keeping it in. It's just that type of thing.
Your path was then the music industry. Can you talk to us a bit about the music industry? What do people not understand about this game?
I don't know. It depends on what you know about the game, but it's an interesting business. How it started for me was I always wanted to. I say always. I from a from a young age, and you know, back to like 5, 4, that type of age, my mom and my brother always told me that I always wanted to sing, and I had a guitar, and I wanted people's attention, and I was the guy that said, you know, do you want to listen to the song? And they would say, yes, okay, then 5 rand, you know, like that type of thing. And I think that music was a desire, but or a wish, you know, it was a dream. To believe in one's dreams is quite a thing. I think that's the first thing, is that it's quite hard to believe that you can be the Ozow, or that you can be the Mi Casa, or that you can be whatever.
Take that step.
Yes. Yeah. So I think that, and I don't think that, I've never met anybody that's wholeheartedly just believes that I'm going to get it. We all have doubts, and I think that that's a part of life. Again, you only have greater faith when you have greater doubts. You know, it's this whole balancing act thing. But I studied in Stellenbosch. I did a marketing degree, a BCom, and I loved it. I did at varsity. I entered Marty's Idols, which was like the Stellenbosch Idols thing at varsity. I entered that only because my friends thought I should, and I was super shy, and anyway, I went there with my guitar, and I made it to the finals, and I ended up winning this thing, and that was in first year, which was a horrible thing, because then I was just like super, like, I know what I want to do. I want to be on stage, I want to sing, and I had to get through varsity, which I did pretty well, which I really enjoyed, and then I guess came the reality of that part of life, when you finish, and then you got to go and try and get a job. And so I went to Joburg looking for a job. Kind of, that's the short summarized version of that. But I ended up in Joburg and looking for a job. I was invited to a party. I went to a party with one person that I knew, and was on a rooftop in Sandton. And it looked absolutely perfect. Everybody looked like they were on from MTV and that sort of thing. And I remember there was a DJ, and I went up to the DJ. I have no idea why. It was so out of character, and I had a hoodie on, and I said to him, hey, can I sing over these beats? And I don't know what must have gone through his head, but you know, it was, and he said, sure. And I have no idea why, because when I think of it today, and if I was the guy singing, and then somebody came and said, hey, can I sing with you? I'd be like, no, bro. Like, you know, so I don't know why that happened. And then at the time where I started singing over these house beats, another kid rocked up and took a trumpet out of his bag, which he put on the floor. And then he asked me to borrow the mic from me. And I said, sure. And so I would sing something, and then I would hold the mic for him, and he would play a little bit, and then I would take the mic back, and then the DJ would change the song, and then we would come up with something else. And it was just a whole freestyle. It was an hour.
Crazy.
And everybody in that party all of a sudden was around the DJ booth, and then they were asking us who we were and where they can get our album. And I was just like, yo, I don't even know these guys. And those guys are Moti on the trumpet, and Dr. Duda, who's the DJ producer, and the three of us are now Mi Casa 13 years later. So that moment, and so that moment was the moment that birthed what you now know as, and what I now know as my career and as my business and as my band. But it stemmed from there, and then I spent 3 months after that moment begging Duda just to allow me to record one song, because he was already an established producer, DJ. And then eventually he said yes, and I rocked up in the studio with Mo as well, who I didn't know is the trumpet guy, and we all arrived there 3 months after that day, and I wrote Good Morning to the World Out There, Sanbonani, and that was our first song, These Streets. And I had no idea what I was doing. I was just expressing. I was just being vulnerable. I was just, okay, let's make a song. Let's, with no intention whatsoever. And yeah, here we are. Like, so that's music and how it started. Well, people don't know about music. I don't know, man. Like, it's a tough business. It's a tough business because I don't even know if the business is about necessarily just the music. I don't think, I think it's so much more. And I think that those much more things are the tough things. It's about relevancy. It's about, it's online and presence and all these type of things that I wish weren't part of it, but also, again, you know, it's part of the game. So there's a lot of it. It's I mean, we could go on for hours in terms of what people don't know.
What annoys you about it though? Like, you know, we hear the stories about like the streaming services, for example, and how much
I've made a lot of progress in terms of what annoys me, but I think I wrote a song that's on our latest album called Who Cares, and it's a song that's brought me so much freedom, because I used to care so much more about what other people thought about me and what they thought about our music and what they thought, you know, about the show. And I used to spend time on stage looking at everybody else, wondering if they're okay and if they're having fun, and only if their hands are up and if they're dancing, then I've done a good job. And then you finish the show and you're like, how did I do? How did it go? Is that okay? Da, da, da. And I'm just like, man, who cares, dude? Like, I can't be doing this for everybody else. I need to be doing this for me and for my sense of joy and happiness. So I think that's one of the things that, unfortunately, a song, or fortunately, a song is only a great song when it gets listened to by a lot of other people. I think that streaming is something that we could go on to say, yes, it's a challenge and it's changed how music is consumed. But then again, that's why I was in Poland, bro, performing in Warsaw and you know, having a show with people there. It's like only because of streaming that we get to go to Berlin and you know, all these random things, because streaming has allowed for music to be widespread. I think what annoys me about music is that none of us in this room and everybody listening can't tell me what a song costs. And I think from a business perspective, when you start to look at it that way, you realize that you're making an asset that nobody can attribute a value to.
Yeah,
and when you
commoditize it.
Yeah, so that's tricky because I don't know how to sell it. Because how do I sell something that you do not value? Not emotionally, physically, financially. It's very hard. So you always have to try and find another way to add value to your asset, so that it can become more valuable, so that people can consume what you are creating more, you know, and coming to the shows and etc. like that. So it's a hard, because of the streaming, it's taken away the perceived value. I remember going and knowing that if I had $100, I could go to music and buy a CD, and that was my $100. So I would have to choose amongst all the CDs, which one am I going to invest? Now, you know, play any song you want from anybody in the world, and it costs you, I don't even know. And I have got Spotify and Apple. I don't even know what it costs me per month. I think it's $60-70 per platform, and divide that by all the music that you're listening to. So that's one of the things that frustrates me about it. So you spend time creating something, putting so much emotion and love and time and skill into something that then nobody understands its value, but it has such an impact. So it's a tricky thing. It's a tricky part of what I do.
One of the things about you as well is, although, you know, we spoke about the artistry side of things, you're incredibly driven. When you commit to something, it is your key focus to get to an extraordinary level with whatever it is. And I also feel like you add something different to whatever you get involved in. And I think that's such an interesting one from someone who, you know, we spoke about commoditizing music. You've had to kind of commoditize yourself in the sense that, you know, a brand wants to work with you. There needs to be some level of agreement there, contractual agreement. This is what you're going to do, for example. And my experience of working with you in that context is, cool, we ironed out the details. Here's the contract. And you just brought so much more to the engagement. Before we go into like talking about it, I actually want to pull up some of the stuff we've done together.
Yeah. Because I'd love to see it.
I think it just adds so much context to what we're talking about here, where, you know, we came in and we had an agreement. Cool, Jay's going to help us with this campaign. We're going to do something kind of interesting and different with this TV commercial, and you just brought this incredible energy to the production. So, Kieran, can you pull up the first video?
I can't even remember any of this.
This is some of the best stuff we've done.
So, today I am joined by Liam from Ozow, and the challenge is to see how much of a new song I can perform before he completes a payment using Ozow. And one of the quickest ways to make a payment online. Liam, you ready?
Let's get it.
Let's go. Go. It's feeling good, man. Zanzi, you were never ready for this one. Another number one in the bag.
Done.
Ooh, aibo. I refuse to believe. Ozow pen that quick.
Transaction completes.
What a vibe. That's so good.
Can we play the burger one? Do you have the burger one there?
It's still so fresh. That's cool, man.
I want to play the burger one just because that was the first one we did. The first ad recorded, so it was...
Well, hello there, Sunny Bonani. Today I'm racing against Ozow, one of South Africa's easiest payment solutions. And the big question is, can I make a burger quicker than the time it takes to pay for one using Ozow? Ready, set, go. Come on, Jay. Butter. This is a lot. Cucumber. Here, papa. Tomato. Joe. I will never. Ozow, you're too quick, man.
That's so good.
That was
so
that was
good,
next
dude.
level stuff.
Yeah, and that's why I love creating. And that's not always like that, like I listen to some of my back catalog and I'm like, oh, why did I make that song, but I live for the moments where I'm like, yeah, that was super cool. That sense of joy that you get from watching when reflecting back on things, it's cool.
What was so awesome about that is millions of people got to see that. And
yeah.
The merger of the two brands, I think, just worked together.
I'm glad,
incredibly well. But the question I want to ask you about that is you didn't really know us from a pinch of salt back then. You maybe knew the brand, but we spoke about this over the phone, and we negotiated with Serge, your manager, and you arrived in the day. We met for the first time. So what kind of catalyzed you to bring that spark and that energy to something like this?
You got to live it, man. You got to live the moment. You got like, a moment is so precious, dude. It is so precious. And it's just like, either we're going to half-ass about this thing and we're going to just try and get by, same-ish, different day type thing. Or you realize that, no, man, this is the only one I have. So it's I also look at it as like, you guys are Ozow, you are massive. I don't even know how big the business is, but it's a big business. I'm me. I'm just a little guy, like a little guy on this earth. I'm not an Ozow. I'm not like a big thing. I'm just another human being. And I think that it stems from, wow, you want to do that with me amongst all the other people that are out there. So there's that sense of appreciation, gratitude for being selected. It's like when you get called up to the team, that type of thing. I think I arrived with that. I arrived with gratitude. I also thought that the concept was cool. I thought that, creatively, when I saw the pitch, I thought, yeah, actually, this can be cool. And then I think that the magic, you can have everything scripted and, your shot lists and everything together. And like this podcast can be planned and we can have your questions and everything else. But then you don't know what the moment brings. And I think that that's when I lock in. It's that I'm behind a stage and I'm hearing everybody and I am like, okay, here we go. And it's Mi Casa, and then everybody goes crazy, and then I'm like, I walk onto the stage, and then it's almost like I go blank. I go blank in the most beautiful way. I just disappear from me. I disappear from identifying with anything. And I just go into this moment of bliss where I am merely just an observer, and I'm just here. I'm just here to flow and to be me and to express and to just let go without you know, any limitations. And I think that like is the same in the moment like that. You know, like if I'm overthinking and over planning and over stressing, then I'm already like, oh, it's too much. So when I get on stage, I've got no expectation other than I just want to have fun and be me and be able to do this. And the ads, I think, was the same with you guys. I was just like, okay, I see the script, I see the vibe.
Let's do
Press
it.
record, man. Let's go. And then you go. And then I get to watch back, and I remember like Liam jumping over the couch, and I remember the gogo on the couch, and I remember that burger thing. It was cool, man. It was great. So yeah, I think it's just appreciation, gratitude, and then living in it and giving it everything you have, and so that you can look back on it with a smile on your face. That's a huge principle. That's a great tool to apply into your life, is build a life that you wish to look back on.
It was such an interesting journey for me as well. I mean, you know, we were just speaking about it now, where we spoke about this whole like commodity thing. It's like, okay, cool, we're gonna get Jay something to do our TV ad. It's very commercial. It's very like, these are the things that you need to do to get there. We'll speak to the manager, we'll draft the contracts, we'll do all this stuff, and you become not in those moments before we meet you. You're almost not a person. You're someone we're getting in to do this thing, and then when we meet you, the personality comes out. And that's, for me, the most exciting element of this, is when you get to meet the people and connect with them on a human level.
Yeah.
And as you say, like, then we're building this together. It's not at that point, it doesn't feel like a commercial transaction anymore.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like when I see Ozow pop up on my phone, I don't see Ozow. I see Thomas. I see Shay. You know, I see the people, because I know you guys.
Yeah.
And I think that is what you're saying, is that at the core of it all, it's just human to human interaction. You know, and yeah, there's formalities in business, but once you cut through and you're able to then get to the other side, hopefully it can just be human to human, real, you know. That's what I look for.
It's a concept of it being mutually beneficial, right? You got to go into these engagements with the right intentions. It's like, we're not here to take anything away from you or take something from you. We're here to elevate you through you helping elevate us. And
look, I would even it even goes far as to say that, you know, it is give and take business. Like, you paid me to do something. At the core of it, you're getting paid to do what you need to do, deliver. There's a basic service delivery that we got to do. You know, like, you booked me to perform, I got to come, I got to sing some songs. That's what I got to do. But on a personal level, on an individual man in the mirror level, I'm not going there to go and sing some songs. I'm going there to go and create a moment for myself, and hopefully for other people, that I can look back. Like this morning, I woke up and I thought of last night. I'm like, wow, it was spiritual. It was beautiful, and we got to have that moment, and that was what's great. So yes, you know, from a transaction perspective, there's that give and take from Ozow and myself and those ads, etc. But then there's also that thing of, like, you know, the joy and the happiness that you get from it. And I value that a little bit more than the other.
It's your brand, right? And I think with Mi Casa, for example, you've sold out concerts across the globe. You guys have built such an incredible brand in that respect, artistry as well, your restaurants, your brand on your shows like My Kitchen Rules. You clearly know how to develop and elevate your brands no matter what project you're working on. So talk to me about that. What's your approach to brand building, and how much focus do you put on that?
Yeah, I place quite a lot of value in terms of building direction. On the broader scope of things, I try and do it from like an annual perspective, to try and, you know, now that I'm into the business, I try and look at where we are at as a business. So a lot of a reflection of who we are and where we are at. And then I think you apply a lot of dreaming, which we've been doing since year one, which was, what are the dreams? What are the goals? What do you want to achieve? You want to win a South African Music Award? Okay, put it down. Let's visualize it, place it out there, and then it comes down. So I think that for me, brand building has got this dreamer phase where you need to, and that should have no limitations. It should be able to be as big and wide as you want it to be. And then you start to kind of like funnel it down, and you start to, okay, plan of action, and then the realities, and then you place in the steps, then you've got your weeklies, and then you are checking it out and monitoring it on a weekly. But then at the end of the day, you come back to the one thing that is where the real work happens, which is today. And then you keep it in the back of your mind, and you pursue it daily. And I think that for me has been really important, is just to create the bigger picture. And it's a really important part of life. I think that we should all be dreamers and goal-driven and place things out there that do make us fear and doubt, because that's where the faith is developed. And then comes down to the day. With that said, I do also feel the need to say that there is so much benefit and I don't know what the word is, but from the organic, from the stuff you can't plan. The thing of just showing up and just, giving it all you've got. I think that's also helped me. It's just to be, I can only plan so much. A lot of what I have and what I've experienced, I feel so fortunate because it was not planned. I couldn't have planned this. I dreamt of it, and I think that's a big part of it. I visualized it, and I saw myself on stage, and I saw myself, I remember practicing my autograph and just being like, one day I'm going to sign an autograph, and then next thing you know, you're like, wow, I signed an autograph. That's cool, and I'm just like, and I live in awe every day. I'm just like, wow, I can't believe that you guys want to talk to me on a podcast. Like, I'm just another dude. Like, and so I live in awe. I'm just like, wow, what a blessing, man.
The whole concept of unplanned, though, is incredibly interesting from a business perspective, because you want to make sure everything's planned, like you said, like the 3 months or 6 month plan, it's there. But if you think about it from your perspective, I mean, you go into a writing session and probably nothing's planned, right? You've got to develop as you go, and and this is why I find the music industry so interesting, because you might have to deliver something for Universal, for example, and go, cool, we need an album, and you're like, I'm in the creative process here. I mean, that must be quite an interesting balancing act for you in terms of, you have to deliver from a business perspective, but you're also in the midst of your artistry and your process, right?
So it's where creativity, when it's becomes a job, becomes really difficult. Because you never know when the tap is open. My ability to create a song does not lie in my ability. My ability to create a song lies in my ability to be open enough to receive what needs to flow through me. I'm a mere vessel. Creative is energy, and I think that it depends on so many different things: where you're at, what you're going through, the sun, the no sun, where you are, what you're looking at. You never know when it's flowing. So I agree with you. Being able to build a business around a creative skill set is a creative skill set is a daunting thing. You can plan to go and film something, but if the weather turns, or I don't know, it's just so. I think that creativity and turning it into a business has been somewhat of a challenge, but I think also being able to create, which is why I don't write songs for other people. I can't. I don't know how. I don't know what you're going through. I don't know what your life's about. Like, I've got no idea. I like to write songs that resonate with me and what I'm going through. So what has helped me is to make it personal, to make it authentic, to make it something that represents who I am, because that is easier to operate from because then I'm operating from me, my experiences, my feelings, my emotions. So, and not an easy task, but there have been some moments where you're pressurized into the need to complete something. And I think it just depends on where you're at in your career. Like I'm fortunate enough to be like, I can't.
Yeah.
I actually can't right now. Like I can't make that song and I can't release it on that date. Make another plan. The world's not going to stop. Like,
sure.
Just relax. It's not that dramatic.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah, I've never been in that position where I'm like, I must deliver now. It's like, no.
I was fortunate enough a few years ago to get a kind of pull the curtain back insider view of the creative process.
I remember that.
Kieran, I don't know if we have I shared a snippet with the team a bit earlier, if we can put it up, and we're at a hotel here in Cape Town, and you invited us through just to have a listen, and it's a short clip, but let's watch it and you can talk us through this kind of process.
Yeah, it's the first word that comes to mind when I see that is the idea of being. It's just so random, but it just came to me now. It's just this idea of being like a scuba diver in the ocean looking for something. It's what it feels to be in the studio. It's like you just swimming, hoping to find a melody that captures you enough that you then think it's going to capture other people's attention. It's a search for a melody. It's what it is. What I do is I search for a melody so that it's da-da, da-da, ba-ba-da, ba-da, and you're like, oh yeah, that sounds cool. Chiga, my baby, chiga. And then boom, you found a melody that in the millions and trillions, I don't even know, there's no number that could quantify. You find a melody that resonates with you, catchy, it's a tune, it's like a thing, and then you're like, yeah, that we should put that there. And then you think, and I think that is the skill set is being able to hear, and here it's not like you're hearing it from out there, you're hearing from in here, and you're like, oh yeah, that could be cool. And then you think, okay, cool, let's take that melody, and you put words to it, and then you hope that other people will resonate and have the same feeling that you have when you heard that melody. And that's where the vulnerability comes in, because then you let it go. Yeah. And you put words to it, and you get away, get away, get away. And you're expressing, you're hearing a melody, you're trying to say something, and then boom, there are people getting away in their car whilst I was in ICU, and I was talking about getting out of ICU, and they're getting married to the song. It's relatability, but in such a different, it's crazy. So when I see that, I just see a swimmer, like a scuba diver, just searching for a gem in the ocean. It's a massive task to try and find a coin at the bottom of the ocean.
You know what I found so interesting about that particular situation is, I mean, one, I think you started recording that night at like 10 p.m. I think.
Yes.
And you guys carried on until I don't even know what time. Yeah, was it like 4 a.m. or something?
Yeah,
like
probably something like that.
You had different people. You just invited a couple people to come through. I mean, we were there. I think Siv popped in, Maps popped in for a bit as well, and you had this constant like energy stream flowing through because of that as well. Like anytime the energy kind of like dipped, like Siv would be there, Maps would be there, someone would be there, and it would bring a new kind of energy to the room, and we'd be able to take a break and chat for a bit, and you'd go back in there, and I'm even mentioning the fact that those guys that you're working with are guys that you kind of uplifted and brought into that space as well. Did you realize that you were doing that, like bringing all these people in together to do that, or is it just something that happens kind of super organically?
My intention around that, which I think is also the other important thing, is that when you have a business like Ozow, you have, like, for example, financial targets that you need to hit. So you have goals and you build them, and you're 12 months, 6 month, 3 month, week, and you chase those things. You can see what you need to achieve. With creative, or rather with musicianship or music as a work, it's very hard to have a goal as clear as that. You're going into the studio, so you're going to go and give time into making, creating, exploring, and so you're going to put some time towards exploring without any ability to define what it is you're trying to find, other than you're trying to find a melody that can hopefully turn into a song. But you can't define what the song will be or what you're going to search for. It's an unknown. I'm going to go and hike and hopefully carry on walking and see what I find. And even that day, when I look back at that day, there's no song that came from that day. I don't have any song that I've put out from that day. All I have is memories, special moments where people like you and Thomas and Siv and Maps and Dawson and all the other guys that were there that I got to spend time with in a moment where there was music and we were creating. It's just, and that in itself, the constant flow of energy and the people. I remember now when I see that, I remember Maps even sang a little bit, and and it's just fun. Yeah. Nothing came from it other than just some fun, and but again, it's also a honing of a skill. I also believe that sometimes it's weird. Like sometimes I'm at home, and if I'm creating, I create a lot alone. And when you're able to allow other people in, you're able to sometimes, if you get it right, to benefit from it, because you rub off other people's energy. And if somebody says something, then you're able to say, what did you say? Yeah, cool. Actually, I like that. It wasn't in my mind, it was in yours, and you take from it and you build on it. Yeah. Sometimes, like, one of the things I do when I'm writing at home is I'll go on Instagram Live, and I'll just do a live, because I then also feel the pressure that other people are watching. Yeah. So then you step up. That's why, like, most sports people beat their records at big stages. Yeah. Because it's a moment.
Adrenaline's going.
Step up, man. Yeah. So those sessions for me are also like cool, because you're able to bounce off one another, and you're able to have more than just yourself, because creating music for me is quite a lonely, selfish state. I'm wanting to write and create what I feel, and then when you have other people, you're like, it's not something I was thinking, so then you pull it in. So that's why I try and create those sessions sometimes. It's just to get out of my comfort zone.
The concept of a comfort zone is really interesting, and it's interesting that you also find it when you're alone, and you kind of feel like, well, I've got enough time here, I'm just gonna go, and you come out of that studio maybe not achieving anything, but when you got people around you, although it might feel uncomfortable, it's what pushes you to actually deliver something of real value.
It's a different state. Sometimes we'll go and record, like this latest album, we recorded it all in Berlin and Portugal, because it was just like getting out of what we know, getting into other studios, getting into other people, connecting with other people we don't know. Yeah. The previous album, we recorded it in Mpumalanga, in the middle of nowhere, in a house surrounded by mountains, and we just chilled there for like 3-4 weeks, and just at a time, and we would just disappear, and the energy is completely different. So I think it's just about also, like, because it's a creative outpouring, the importance of your surroundings and who you are around, it becomes so much more valuable and intricate, which is, I've always kept it quite close, but and it's only people that I know and love that are able to be in that space, because it is a vulnerable space.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Let's talk about artistry. Your restaurant. You started a couple of restaurants. This is your latest venture, although it's been around for a little while now. In Sandton. Tell me about it, and tell me about what was the impetus behind artistry.
Artistry is a cultural platform by definition. It has a restaurant, but it's our purpose is to celebrate, to preserve, and to showcase culture. Culture for me is story. Whether it's in the form of music, whether it's in the form of art, we've got a gallery, whether it's in the form of storytelling through motion, we've got a theater, so we showcase movies, we host talks, we host listening sessions, and I think the platform as a whole is 3 tiers. So there's the rooftop restaurant, which has also got a garden bar, which is really cool. And then 1 floor down, we've got the listening bar, which is where we throw a lot of cool parties and listening sessions. That's attached to an art gallery that gets furbished once every month with different art, local, which has been really cool. So we showcase different artists in the gallery. And then we've got the theater, which is a 100-seater theater, which we host musicians, theatrical performances, screenings, and that together as a 3-level sort of experience is what we call artistry. It's a celebration of art and artists, and the food and the music, and the food and the art is an incredible pairing because you're able to have a great time eating and drinking and being together with your friends. But then also the idea was, how could we add more value to that experience? How could we solve more of what people want? How could we add to what people want? When you go out for dinner, the very basic thing of what you want is to have a nice meal. But what else could we add to that experience that would heighten the value, the perceived value of that experience? And I think for me, it's about, I had a great meal, I was served really well, and my money felt valuable. It felt like it was not exorbitant. So everything at artistry is like, one of the things we try and do is to try and make things as affordable as possible. Even though we're in the heart of Sandton, the richest square mile in Africa, the whole purpose of that business is so that artists can come there, so that there's a platform for artists to be able to celebrate one another. We don't have enough platforms as artists to like that. And it's one of my dreams is that we could create more, not create more artistries, but create more platforms. Because the impact that I've seen in the last year and a half of that business on the arts specifically has been phenomenal. Just to be able to have a platform that we can give to artists, for them to come and curate a menu that celebrates their culture and their story. And then so people will come and eat. For example, we do this thing once a month called Artistry Live, which is our flagship music event. Yeah. One of my favorite things we do. And you book a ticket. Your ticket includes dinner, 3-course meal upstairs. Then you drop down into the bar. You have a pre-drink. You then go into the theater. You watch the artist that you came for. And then after that, you drop from the theater back into the listening bar for an after party with the artist. And it's 100 people. So it's super close, and it's valuable and it's rich and it feels personal. And I think that being an artist, one of the things that we all need, specifically as artists, and I'm sure it applies to other people, is that you all need a little tap on your back. You all need to know that you're loved, that you're admired. And I think that is the purpose of what we're doing at Artistry. It's also a platform where we do a host of corporate experiences. We try and build moments using food and entertainment for people.
It's clear that there's a real purpose behind you building that business. And like the business is called Artistry, but how do you balance that purpose and that artistic vision for the business and the platform versus the actual business side of it, and making sure that it's a profitable and business that's actually driving impact for you and the people who the business serves?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a multi-dimensional question. That it depends on which hole you wish to dive into. I think that obviously it's a business, so it's driven to generate profits. I think that is at the core of what we're trying to do. It's a hospitality business, which is an extremely hard business to generate profits from. You do it because you are, and like again, it's like most things, you do it because you're passionate about it. My mom and my dad lived in that industry their whole life, and it's a long hours. You serve. It's all you do. You serve people. People come in there, they order a Coke and a burger, and all you do is you serve them as if you are a servant. Like in the true word and the true form of the word is, what can I do for you? And you making $150. The business is making $150, and you do anything for that person, because you want that person to come back. And that's the hospitality business, is you just try and give people so much love and care and value and attention so that they can just come back one more time. And then when they come back one more time, you're just like, wow, man, can you come back another time? Because it would help us to pay the 30 odd people that we've got in this business.
Yeah.
It would help us to pay the suppliers, et cetera, et cetera. So it's an intricate business, you know, and to find the balance, the word that you use, the balance of, you know, balancing the creativity that you wish to express versus the profitability, I think, is where always the clash is. You always want to have all the artists come there, but all the artists can't cost a lot of money. So you can't have all the artists that you want because you've only got 100 seats. So you can't put the tickets up too high because then nobody will come, but you got to try and create the experience. So I think it's like, that business for me has been about finding the balance. The word that you use is finding the fine line of like, how can we keep the experience really valuable, and how can we also keep the profitability there? So it's like it's a smaller profitability margin. I think it's a business that's got very tight margins. So you have to be really tight with how you run the ship. But yeah, it's an interesting one. I definitely. I do that business because of impact. And I think it's been really important for me to have that side of me where I know that the outpouring of what I've put into that business, it can never be quantified financially on a personal level. I can never look at that business and be like, that is why I do it, because I'm sitting on this amount of money.
Yeah.
I do that because I see the artists, man. I see the people. I see the creatives. I see the consumers as well. Just being like, I sat a meter away from my favorite artist, and then I got to have dinner with them, and I got to do this. That's the impact.
If that business, if there was a huge opportunity for profitability, huge profits, and but it took away from the experience that you wanted to build, would you walk away?
Yeah, definitely, no doubt. Because I mean, the why is the most important thing for me. Why are we doing this? Like, it's got to be that. Obviously, if there was an opportunity to grow the business and to create more, I would try and guide that process to say, like, hang on, can't we do more? But can we not try to keep? So you try and balance the thing. But if it takes away, like for example, if somebody came to me and said, Mi Casa will carry on, but we will write all the songs, I'd be like, whatever, bro. I'm not even interested. But we'll make you a superstar. I'm like, I don't care, bro. Yeah. It's not about that. It's about me expressing me. That's why I do this. I don't want you to write my song. It doesn't mean anything to me then. When I'm singing it, when I'm doing the daily work on it, it means absolutely nothing. So, yeah, I'd probably walk away. Not probably, I'd definitely walk away. As soon as the purpose of it's lost, it means nothing to me. And then it's just something that will irritate me.
So in you talking about that, what's really clear is that this community is incredibly important to you. Like, it drives you, whether it's your closest circle, the industry that you work in, and the people that you serve, or you feel that you serve through your music or through the artistic side of things. So talk to me how important that is to you, and what role the community plays in your life and that connectedness.
Yeah, life is an individual journey, but life is also how do you call that thing, like where you make a fire and you all get around the fire? It's like about that as well. It's about togetherness. And I think when you trace back, when you study history and study humanity, you realize that the reason why the fire thing came up is that fire is what brought us together. When humans discovered fire, they could sit around a fire and feel protected from other animals. And there's an incredible book, I forget it now, but anyway. So community is, I can sing. One of the things I'm very well aware of is that I can sing. I can do it. I like it, and it sounds nice. But sing on a stage with nobody, there's no show. So it's an understanding that without one another, we are nothing. And yet, and I say that also trying to protect the fact that without anybody, you are you. So there's that again, just like paradox of that. But communities is where it's at. It's where we feel deeper. It's where we connect, and I think that we benefit a lot from it. I've benefited a lot from it across the board. You can cook, but if nobody eats, what's the point, man?
Yeah.
You know, my favorite thing at home, and it puts a lot of pressure on my wife, but like I cook and then I want to see, like, what did you feel? What did it taste? How did it make you feel? You know, because that's why I did it. So we do a lot for others. We most of the things we do in life tends to be for somebody else's attention. And I think when it's reciprocated or felt, it's an incredible feeling, man. When you make a song, I don't know how to explain it, but like when I make a song about how I'm feeling and then it's appreciated by other people, I'm just like, wow, man. Like I was alone, just dealing with my own stuff. And I just put it into a song, and now you're singing it. And we're singing it together. And it's just like, wow, that's cool. So community is it's everything, man. Like it's, you know, I want to say it, but the idea of Ubuntu, you know, like we really are better with one another. And it's something it's something I value.
Do Coco and the kids ever down your food? Like when you, like not today,
listen,
not today.
You know, when you cook for kids, that's when you're humbled, bro.
Yeah.
Like, because cooking, and I'm not a quick cook. I'm a guy that like, I really enjoy taking my time, you know. And like the other day, I spent, I think about 7 hours making a veggie lasagna. and it was delicious. It was like incredible. And yeah, my kids were like, yeah, it's okay. It's, you know, it's a veggie lasagna, bro. But yeah, sometimes. But you know, we find a lot of joy with food together as a family. It's like our thing. It's our moment. The table, time around the table is very holy at home.
Well, I want to talk about the topic of the lessons that you learned from the music game and being an artist in that space, and what principles or lessons that you've carried over from that into your business ventures. Or what transcends music into business?
Yeah, I think one of the things that pops to mind is that business, you try to succeed. And if success can be a staircase to get to somewhere, you know, because you're trying to keep, you start off as what is your story is also cool. Like you didn't start off in the role you are at now. You started off some completely different.
Yeah.
And then you grow. And I think that for me, what I've learned from the music, especially in the music, because music industry, there's a lot of ego involved. There's a lot of like, I am this guy, I'm this person, look at me, da, da, da. And if it is the success ladder that you're climbing, I think it's the lesson that I've learned is just to always be kind as you climb to everybody, because everybody's trying to climb. And then the other reality of climbing is that you eventually summit, and then you try with all your might to stay there. But there is one reality, that you will go down. You will die. We all are going to die, and that's okay. What is really important is that as you are summiting and as you are going, I find it really important to be kind and to be generous with your love as you do your thing, because as you come down, you might need a little bit of water on your way down from somebody else. And if you were a twat going up, then the person might not give you the water when you're coming down. So I think just the kindness in what you do, I think a level of appreciation, I think a level of professionalism has been really important. I've never been late for a gig in my life. I have one. Wasn't in my doing, but I don't recall ever turning down a picture or whatever. I've always just been super grateful. So I think walking in gratitude is another principle. So walking in kindness, walking in gratitude, walking with awareness that you are really privileged to be able to do what you love to do. That for me has been incredible. And I think that the other thing I've learned from music that has transcended into my business life is the ability, the importance of being authentic, being able to create what you wish to create, being able to bring what you wish to bring to the business, who you are, because I think that that's where other people will find your uniqueness, and that's where you are then become invaluable. There is absolutely nobody on this planet like me. No one. There's not one other human that is me, and I dig that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people here, man. There's billions, and also nobody has it all. We can never have it all. Not Elon Musk, not Thomas Pace. Nobody has it all. Nobody. You have what you have, and I think that I've treasured what I have.
Yeah.
And what I have is everything to me. So I have it all, but all is everything that I have. So I treasure that a lot. I'm not Pharrell. I'm me, and that's cool. I'm not trying to be Pharrell. For a very long time, I did try and be Pharrell, and I wanted to have that and be that, and I'm just like, nah, man, it's too shallow. That's what you have.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a whole bunch in there that I think I've learned from music that's transcended into business and life in general. Yeah.
Well, what do you have to say about the South African context in terms of the music industry, one, and like entrepreneurship in general? Because I think, you know, driving a band is entrepreneurship in its own way. You know, there's lots people say about South Africa. There's a lot of good, there's a lot of bad. What's your experience, and do you think this is a hub for that kind of creative community and growth and innovation? You think we're still getting there? What are your thoughts?
No doubt, man. I think, and I say that confidently because when you look at the landscape of music and you listen, you try and find uniqueness. You know, it's uniqueness is the diamonds of business, of the music business, to find a unique sound, to find a unique way. Music has got 8 chords, notes. You've got 8 notes in all music that's ever been created is between these notes, and there's no other notes. Those are the notes that there are, and every song you've ever heard lies within those notes. And I think that the interesting thing about music is you try and find the uniqueness. And I think the way that South Africans have been able to express themselves in the music, especially when you look at the current landscape. And I mean, I've been in it for 13 years. So I've seen from house to then soulful house to then gqom to then amapiano, and that's just dance. I'm just talking about dance, never mind all the other genres. When you see the caliber of music that we're making, I have no doubt to say that it is definitely a hub. It's where, I mean, look at the impact that our music has had globally. It's incredible to witness now at the moment as well, when you see the Tylers and when you see the Black Coffees and you see these type of people finding a space in the global music, which has always been very Americanized. Pop, you know, pop is pop because of America, and you know, but pop is very different in every country you go to. But yet, the bigger term of the definition of pop comes from America and I guess more Western culture. So I think that the African culture has got a uniqueness to it that other people, you know, there's a unique groove here, man. There's a unique feeling. Yeah. So without a doubt, I think it's an incredible platform for that will continue to shape the future of music, I think, in a massive way. As a business, however, it's an extremely hard business to do here. I think that making money from music is an incredibly hard thing. You need to perform. And in order to perform, you need to be relevant. And in order to be relevant nowadays, you need to use the internet, and I think that that's also become easier. But it's still a very hard business to create a sustained business from, like a long-term business. You know, when I look at our business as Mi Casa, and I see 13 years of non-stop, only COVID sort of being this. Even in that time, we were still carrying on. You know, it's a bit of a strange one. It doesn't normally happen that way. To have a sustained, longer career in music is extremely hard. So I think in that sense, it is tougher because I think that there's less platforms, there's less festivals, there's, so it's a very small industry in perspective to Europe or the circuit in America. But talent is plentiful, no doubt, man. It's incredible because there's also a lot of joy here, man. When you have joy, look at Brazil. You have poverty, but you've got joy. And I think
diversity as well.
Diversity, yeah, that also helps. It's a cool place, man. I can't say that I wouldn't want to be anywhere else in the world because it's a comparative statement, but I love being here.
Yeah.
No doubt. I love creating here. It's very cool. I love the culture that we have here. I love the heart that we have for music. And that helps. We love music. South Africans have used song for every phase of life. Be it life or death, there's a song. So music serves a great purpose in our culture.
What's next for Jay Something?
I have no idea. I mean, there's a lot that I could say. Like we're doing a whole bunch of things. Mi Casa's got a really dope cruise that we're doing out of Cape Town.
Yeah.
It's the first one called Friendship, starts in March. So that's a project that we've got on the go now. We nearly sold out, which is really cool. My wife and I are doing a food and music picnic called Lovers Rock, the first one in Feb next year. So that should be cool. I'm writing a book, which I've got no real end date to that, but I've started the process of putting it all down. And then just continuing to live just one day at a time, man, and just trying to take it all in and enjoy it. But what is now has become a lot more important than what is next. That's where I'm at. I continue dreaming big, and I continue hoping to find new parts of me that I haven't yet discovered. And I think that comes through exploring. And so if you're looking for me, I'm in the ocean with my scuba goggles, trying to find the next little coin at the bottom of the ocean.
And what's the ultimate impact that Jay Something wants to leave the world with?
It's got nothing to do with anybody else, man. I hope that on my last day, I can still look in the mirror and say, "Good man, you did a great job." I've got an ultimate purpose, which is to be a great husband and a great dad and a great friend, a great son. I wish to create things that birth love and light in the world, and I wish to do it by just one day at a time. Like that's really what I wish to achieve if I had to summarize it. And I hope that those people that are involved in that circle of my little life in this big world are able to say that on my last day. It will definitely on my last day be more important what other people think about me than what I think about me, because I won't be here physically. But I hope that on that last day I get like a little moment where I'm able to be like, what a vibe, what a life.
Nice. Jay, thanks so much for spending the time with us today on Ozow-On-Air and sharing with us a bit of insight beyond the spotlight, and pulling back the curtain for what goes on in that head, outside of the man on the stage. Really appreciate your time.
I appreciate your guys' time and for having me here. I feel absolutely honored, and I hope that the time that we've had together is worth it for other people.